Now, wait a minute. I think there's an event you're going to be playing at, though, right? You are a baller?
Oh, look, yeah. I play socially. I play with the Sydney Spectres between teams here in Sydney. And, like, it's a great time. It's great to get involved socially, get exercise. And, look, maybe one day I'll make it here when I'm 19. But, you know.
We like to see it, man. We get you out there, you know, we put you on the... But listen, hey, it's a pretty great thing. How you feeling about this Pride round? This is something pretty cool.
Oh, no, it's really exciting. It's, like, such an honour to have this game as a part of that. It means a lot to the community. It's a little division, as we know in the world, but it's really nice to have an event like this to come together and just celebrate basketball.
100%, everybody. And I bet, can I get a preview of the winning team tonight?
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Cannot wait for this one. Sydney versus the Perth Wildcats. Both teams have been busy. Both teams desperately need a win. I expect this to be a high-scoring game of basketball. You've got superstars all over the place. One of them is Jalen Adams. So he's only faced the Wildcats once this season. Have a look at the numbers. 27 points, 6 assists, and he was efficient shooting the ball as well. So in terms of a sports bet same-game multi, I expect Sydney at home to be too good. Take the over in the total points, and we'll put Adams and Bryce Cotton in there as well. Enjoy this game. It'll be a cracker.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
The Perth Wildcats facing off against their arch rivals, the Sydney Kings. Out it goes Doolittle from the top of the key. Brings the game alive. And there's another turnover. The passing terrible. Galloway. Here's ball in hand again. Liartha is taking him on. And he's very confident. Perth with another chance. Time on their side. Pepper from three will drop short. Kings reign supreme. Not since 1998 have the Perth Wildcats lost 4 in a row. They sit at 3 right now at home. Now he has got, oh, what a pass. Pinder says, give it to me. I've got the experience. Pinder feeling it all the way from three-point land. The pass, dangerous. Noy will gather, has to go from half court. Can't make it go. The Wildcats get over the line.
Hello and welcome to the Hungry Jacks NBL, the first of our Sunday doubleheader as the Sydney Kings take on the Perth Wildcats. It's NBL Pride Round brought to you by Champion, a huge crowd here at Kudos Bank Arena with all eyes on Bryce Cotton and Jalen Adams, who can take control and lead their team to a win. As always, it is a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joe Healy alongside Brad Rosen and Derek Rucker. Guys, cannot wait for this one. What are you expecting?
Well, it's crowd. It's good afternoon to everyone, and it's absolutely massive in this venue. This is going to be outstanding. The winner of today's game goes to third, and that is huge. You would get a home court final. You look at the Mitsubishi Motors ladder there. There's not much in it, Derek Rucker.
There certainly isn't, and we've got the #1 defensive team in the Sydney Kings facing a red-hot offensive team in the Perth Wildcats, of course, led by the milestone run that Bryce Cotton is currently on. Who can get the better of the other on the defensive end, Joe? I think is the team that comes out on top.
Exactly right. We mentioned the two MVPs off the top, Jalen Adams and Bryce Cotton. J.A. coming off a career night against Adelaide. Bryce has been incredible all season. What do you want to see from them?
Well, I want to see them do what they've done all year, and they've both been amazing the way they've played. You'll see their stats come up in a second. Look at the MVPs between them. But Bryce has just had that unbelievable season. That is just outrageous, close to 28 games, and you look at the 28 points, I should say, and you look at the percentages. With Jalen, he's coming off a 40-plus game the other day. He knows how to put the ball in the hole. It's going to be huge, Derek.
And both these guys are massive competitors. They understand the moment, so I expect each guy to come out early and try and have an impact. Jalen Adams has had 2 games where he scored 40 or more, but it's led to Sydney Kings losses. And of course, Bryce Cotton, we know the run he's been on. Can he back it up here Sunday afternoon with a short turnaround? His three-point shooting this year has been vital to the Wildcats' success.
Well, we're in the King's Palace tonight, but it's Jesse Wagstaff tonight. He's celebrating 500 NBL games. We'll hear from him throughout the coverage. He'll be part of our Harvey Norman in the Zone. He's such a humble guy, but his career achievements speak for themselves, don't they?
Unbelievable, Joe. And this is the Perth Wildcats, one of the premier teams in the NBL. This guy is 500 games and the only Wildcat to have that. That is outstanding. You look at the championships, the teams that he's been on. What an absolute superstar he's been of our league, Derek.
And I love his ability to transform his game given the different makeup of the Perth Wildcats over a number of decades. Jesse Wagstaff, a future NBL Hall of Famer. Congrats.
It's time to bring in the 4th member of our broadcast team, Matty Russell. Jesse Wagstaff, you joined some esteemed company today.
Absolutely, Joe. Good evening to you and the gents and to everybody watching. Jesse Wagstaff, what a career. The 14th man into the NBL's 500th club and the first since Oscar Foreman went there in 2017. To add to those numbers, as you look at the list that Jesse Wagstaff joins, I can tell you he's only the 4th to do so at one club, behind Andrew Gaze at the Melbourne Tigers, Brett Maher at the Adelaide 36ers, and Matt Campbell at the Illawarra Hawks. He's the 4th oldest at 38 years of age, 278 days, behind Leonard Copeland, who was 41, Leroy Loggins, who was 40, and James Crawford at 39. So you saw the numbers. It's been a glorious career. He'll come off the bench behind this starting 5 on Friday. John Riley made changes. Keanu Pinder and Dylan Windler came into the starting 5 for Perth. They're there again. It's Cotton, Windler, Doolittle, Henschel and Pinder. Of course, we get to see Ty Webster, second game back from his hamstring concern. Windler back from that eye injury. When it comes to the Sydney Kings, there is a change. Isaiah Liafa back to the bench. Alex Tui starts alongside Adams, Qual, Oliver and Cooks. A big crowd, more than 14, maybe 15,000 filling Kudos Bank Arena. These teams head-to-head. Well, Perth dominate 68-45 here. It's Sydney 11-10 over Perth at Kudos Bank Arena. It's the closest series in the NBL this season. And it's East against West. It's Sydney against Perth. And it's all on the line in terms of top 6 positions. The tip goes to the visitors, who ran on in high spirits, it must be said. Ty Webster, for example, engaging straight away with the Sydney fans. Henschel drives and draws the foul. He'll go to the line for 2. Derek Rucker, Brad Rosen, good afternoon again.
Thank you, Matty. Great atmosphere here at Kudos Bank Arena. Right away, we saw the Kings' defensive intention. Bull Qual playing very, very snug to Bryce Cotton, and so he should throughout the course of this game, not give him any space to operate, especially early in the game where Bryce can build some confidence and find his way into this basketball game, Brad.
You are right, Derek, and I watched on Friday night. I was there as they played South East Melbourne, and they did that exact thing to Bryce Cotton. And he took 3 shots and had 2 points at quarter time. He plays the nice role, had 3 assists though, and that's the key. They still get the ball through him.
Henschel making both the line off that 12-point game on Friday. We go along with 5 rebounds. Here's Xavier Cooks missing, and Oliver nearly provided the tip Sydney needed but couldn't find the hole. These teams with an identical record, 16-11. It goes further than that. Sydney 7-6 at home. Perth 7-6 on the road. Windler gets an early look and knocks down the 3.
An unselfish play there by Ben Henschel. I thought he had an opportunity to make a play. Instead, he went with the quick kick for the corner 3 to Windler. Big knockdown early.
Well, that's 2 possessions for the Sydney Kings that Perth have gone at Jalen Adams. First one was Ben Henschel and took him off the dribble, and that time was in the block where they went to Doolittle and just be able to back him down. So I'm assuming that's been a plan from John Riley and his team.
Vaughan Mabry, Nico Fernandez, Alex McEwen, our referees for this one. Here's Alex Tui back into the starting 5 and scoring for the Kings.
And you mentioned the starting 5. I feel like this is the Kings' best 5 to start the basketball game. Now that Bull Qual's healthy, And Cam Oliver seemingly found his way, understands what he needs to do for this Sydney Kings team to be successful.
What is it specifically you like about this five, Derek?
The defensive flexibility. Even though defense hasn't been a problem for the Kings this season, I like this five's ability to get stops and get out and push and convert on the offensive end.
And for the other team, this is my favourite five for Perth. I like that they started Keanu. He was great the other night. He gives them the energy, and I like the players that they have around him.
5-2 to Perth early in this one. They're 1-all head-to-head this season.
Let's go.
It was Sydney by 1 point at their first meeting. It was Perth by 3 points, second time around. Here's the runner from Bryce Cotton. He's up and running this afternoon.
Great team play there. The Wildcats recognize the overplay as Cotton was coming off the screen as Cooks turns one over. And Cotton goes the other way, receives a pass and makes a really tough shot. Now he pulls up in trans.
Bryce Cotton made his debut on this floor 9 seasons ago. Got a really strong record in Sydney, which goes across courts around the nation and New Zealand, obviously. Cam Oliver showing his strength there.
Well, that's what you want from Cam Oliver. Firstly, great defence. That's exactly what he wanted. Then he ran the floor hard, and there goes Ben Henschel again, going at Jalen Adams, and one.
And we're seeing the evolution of Ben Henschel over the past few rounds. Much more confident with the basketball, especially putting it on the floor and getting to the hoop. We know he is going to be a better three-point shooter than he has shown this season and throughout his early career. But when a guy plays with this level of confidence and skill, there's a big future for him as we see an early substitution, Brad.
Well, I'm not surprised with that. Defensively, that's been 3 possessions where they've run right at Jalen Adams, and obviously picking up his second foul. He has to sit on the bench. And what's interesting is Sean Bruce, who did not play last week, comes in.
Bright start for Ben Henschel. Joe Healy, over to you.
Yeah, just adding on to that, guys, he's obviously been given the assignment of Jalen Adams today, and he's off to a great start. He's never played against JA, but he's spoken the lead up to this game and said that he doesn't care who's in front of him. He's ready to step up, ready for the challenge. We know Henschel's been mentioned in mock drafts for this year, so obviously it's an exciting prospect for him. It's a big game and big responsibility today.
Thank you, Joe. Doolittle with a miss, retrieved by Oliver. For Sean Bruce. Sydney Kings find Bullquall, and he finds the bottom of the net.
And that's the other way that you can kind of get at Bryce is working him on the defensive end. A great cut there by Bullquall. The other option might be to post Bryce up and see how much he really wants to defend if Doolittle cleans up the offensive glass, gets an easy putback.
Given how close the numbers are, men, in terms of record and their home and away records and their head-to-head records this season, a factor that stood out to me is Alex Tui goes to work on Henschel, and there's a whistle against Perth, is the fact that Sydney have had a 9-day turnaround since they lost to Adelaide last Friday week. Perth turning around fewer than 48 hours after their comeback win against South East Melbourne. I know that Damon Lowry will not want me to ask this question, but guess what? I will. It has to be a factor, doesn't it?
No, I'd much rather be Perth playing. I don't like this amount of time away from the game this late in the season. I want to play as much as possible, Brad.
I'm with you. Completely with you. I have no problems. And this is what playoff basketball is like. We're at the pointy end of the season. You just want to play.
You don't want to be practicing.
Correct. You didn't practice anyway. You said something. I don't want to practice today.
Here's Bruce. Foul called on Ty Webster.
And early on, Matty, both teams are doing a good job in their screening actions at causing mismatches. We saw there that Ty Webster got caught in a mismatch. And on the Kings defensive end, we saw Adams get in troubles also. So early adjustments are probably needed to protect those guards from foul trouble.
Qualt goes to work on Webster, who stands his ground and defends the arc for Perth. Webster making his return from a hamstring injury on Friday, having missed 8 games, was very solid. 8 points on 4 of 8 shooting. Speaking of shooting, we know that Dylan Windler is exactly that.
Well, they were the 2 new players that came in. I thought Ty Webster was great the other night, the minutes that he played. Windler a little bit quiet, but had big rebounds and played possession as Cam Oliver misses that shot. But they are 2 crucial pieces to these Perth Wildcats and giving good minutes early.
I agree, Brad. And I just thought the fact that Windler was able to get minutes into his legs were important. I thought how he played wasn't as significant as Doolittle does a lot in the paint, draws the and-1, and Perth are off to an outstanding start as we look at the Amy replay. Soft on that ball screen in transition. We know Windler has great range shooting the basketball.
He got through 25 minutes on Friday, so you're right, good minutes, first game back, having missed 2 matches because of that eye injury, the cut and the bruising around the eye. So John Riley's getting pieces back at just the right time of the season.
This guy as well, Doolittle's another one. He's had an outstanding season from the way he's playing, and I know they're looking at extending his contract, or they want to re-sign him. His season this year, he's averaging just over 11 points at 46%, giving him 7 rebounds, and really the glue to this team because he defends, does everything they need.
Well said, Brad, but early on, sitting here next to you, I'm doing a body language check on you, and you look like you got some concern for the Kings, buddy.
Well, I didn't, but I do now, so thanks for that. No, no, but you're right. They just don't look like they're in sync on the offensive end. It's getting through hands, it's sticky, it's not going the way they want, and then Perth are able to come down. And right now, they just need to take a breath and calm down.
A little bit flat, Matty, and giving up 18 points in less than 5 minutes is a less than ideal start. So Georgia making a lot of substitutions, trying to get some spark into the lineup.
At this rate, it's going to be a 36-point first quarter to Perth, which
Summer shootouts over, Matty.
Way too many. And Brian Goorjian, he's been able to construct some good numbers defensively as Alex Tui gets to the rack, but they need to get back to that defensive form they've found in patches this season. Doolittle. There's a fumble and it goes baseline.
And Matty, you talk about the defense. Whilst they didn't score, there's no need to double. There's no need. Just let the players play one-on-one. It's not in the rotation because then you give up offensive rebounds and open looks in another way.
Bryce Cotton sets his sights and misses that one. Here's Quatnoy running the floor, turning Doolittle around, who did enough at the death. And it falls back the way of Bryce. Baseline on Tui. Here's Doolittle given a fantastic look, but he can't hit.
Good box out there by Xavier Cooks to let that ball bounce. Shows you the work he did. And there's another good defensive play by Bryce Cotton, calls the turnover. They're up for this game, Derek. Perth are coming here.
They are, and they're executing well offensively. Even that last play there where Doolittle misses the 3, it was really good probing by Dylan Windler. He was composed, got the ball to a wide-open Doolittle. He just missed the shot. And as long as you're creating excellent shot opportunities for yourself, especially if you're the Perth Wildcats, a team that is very good offensively and can shoot the ball from the perimeter, they're going to be in a good position.
Bryce Cotton, beautiful pass. And the finish from Almanza. There's an assist.
And Matty, when they're healthy, they have a lot of bodies they can throw at you. You look at that front line rotation, a lot of talent, a lot of length and athleticism.
Here's Quatnoy working baseline and drawing the foul.
You talk about Bryce Cotton, the way he works off the ball. Look at this. Comes one way, goes the other. This is why I say he's the MVP league. Could have easily shot it and then just hands it to Almanza. What an outstanding play by Bryce Cotton.
Well, I think that MVP case was settled on Friday night with his fourth quarter explosion, coupled with the fact that Kendrick Davis and the Adelaide 36ers were less than stellar in their loss to Brisbane.
10 points in the fourth quarter on Friday, Derek, as part of 29 for the game. 9 of 15 shooting. He was perfect at the line, all 8, 6 assists as well.
What I've also noticed here is obviously John really has a plan here. He has had substitutes coming in and out every minute or two. We've only played just over 6 minutes, and there's been a lot of substitutions. I like it when you've been travelling and have that. Get the legs moving, get everyone into the game and have them here ready to go.
Well, both these teams technically can still finish top two. They need to win their last two games, which includes this contest, and have Melbourne fall in the throwdown, which is the final game of the regular season. Also, Perth need to bridge a bit more considerable percentage gap. But technically, right here, right now, both these teams are still a chance to finish top two to get home court advantage in the playoff series. Sean Bruce for the Kings. They're down by 8, 3.5 left in the first. Oliver. Foul is called on the floor on Ty Webster. But they'll go to the line anyway.
Well, that's good. He could have shot the three there, Cam Oliver, and that's been a change in his game. Certainly, we've had many discussions about he's coming in and out of the game so often because Brian Goorjian has given him, this is what I want from you. This is the minimum. And tonight, he could have shot that but got straight to the hoop.
Brad, we've seen him have 2 0-point games here at Kudos Bank Arena this season. After the second, 7 games ago, he's since averaged, Derek, 12 points, 9 rebounds. What's been the key to that 7-game run for Cam Oliver?
I think consistent opportunity. And a lot of times this season, his minutes have been curtailed, and you can't be productive if you're sitting over on the bench. Now, some of the time, I felt that was warranted, but most of the time, I think he's been on the short end of a long stick in terms of what he's deserved to have on the court.
Look, I agree. I think it's the non-negotiables. We keep saying those words, and that's what Brian Goorjian has said. Now, if I talk about this game, that one where he went up and got that rebound in the first quarter here, just a few possessions ago, ran the floor and then was able to get what he needed on the offensive end, that's the non-negotiables. Because he's in the game, he's playing, and more importantly, his body language. That is something that Brian Goorjian has spoke about many times. And to me, that's what's happened over those last games, and he's been brilliant for them.
So it's Keanu Pinder at the line for John Riley. John Adams playing just over 2 minutes so far in the first quarter because of those 2 fouls. So the much hyped Cotton-Adams matchup hasn't seen a lot of time so far. Here's Isaiah Leafa. The bounce pass for Oliver, who got to the window.
Both teams have been pretty good with the execution on the offensive end. That was a stellar set there by the Sydney Kings. Now it's just a matter of whether they can find their rhythm on the defensive end. We know they will at some point, Brad, but how soon will it be, and how great will the lead be?
Pinder finds Pepper in the corner. And the crowd lets out a gasp as the lead jumps out to 9 again.
Middle penetration.
Absolutely, you just got to stop your man one-on-one, saying exactly the same thing. Derek can completely agree.
What sits it up? The lid is shut by Cam Oliver. A bit of brute force might get the Kings going. Again, Keanu Pinder given a good look. He leaves it short. There's a holding foul call.
And a good effort there on the weak side rebound, but first, Oliver goes up like we've seen him do so many times. Outstanding pass by Malawach. And not only can he elevate, Brad, but he can suspend himself in the air because his timing wasn't ideal on that alley-oop, but man, the strength.
But then Malawach gives up the foul. Henschel at the line again. Ben Henschel to 6 points. Only had the 1 field goal attempt for 1 make. And he's perfect at the line for the other 5 points. Isaiah Leafa harassed by Cotton. He finds Bruce. He can't find the target. And it's a Perth ball. So Sydney off the loss against Adelaide 9 days ago. Perth off the comeback win by a point, as it turned out, against the Phoenix on Friday night. And the Phoenix up next in a beauty. The second leg of your Sunday doubleheader against Adelaide. Here's Keanu Pinder. And he draws the foul.
2 guys with a lot of athleticism. Pinder makes a nice little move to cross back over on Oliver and create contact. He's going to look at Jalen Adams. Bad position to be in, Brad. 2 fouls early. Can't make a contribution, but Pender backs him down. And this move right here.
That's Oliver's first foul. Adams, you're right, with the 2 early ones. As Pender lines up here on the line, it seems like Cotton and Adams bring out the best in each other. Adams averages 25 points per game against Perth, most against any opponent, and Bryce averages 25 points per game against Sydney, most against any opponent.
Wow. Yeah.
But you know what else Bryce does? He brings out the best amongst his teammates also.
Yes, he does. And probably averages 24.9 against every other team.
Xavier Cooks, this big Sydney crowd, sitting a little silent at the moment. Bruce fights to keep possession. They like that. Oliver from three-point land, just inside the clock. And the rebound falls for Cotton. Pepper confronts the hand of Xavier Cooks. They swing it around the arc for Henschel. His second field goal attempt is a three-point miss, and now the Arthur couldn't keep the ball in play.
And essentially, Brad, on the offensive end, the Perth Wildcats are playing 4-on-4, given how overcommitted the Kings are choosing to be in defending Bryce Cotton. And they're doing a good job with those 4 other guys of executing and not getting work out of their offensive structure. They're still getting quality looks, and Bryce is being patient.
Bryce Cotton to hit the 30-point mark for the Perth Wildcats in the first quarter. Make it 32-18, a 14-point buffer. What a start by the team on the quick turnaround. Bruce and the Kings searching for answers. Xavier Cooks would be a likely one. Instead, Oliver launches from three-point territory and misses.
Wildcats have knocked down 4 threes to none for the Kings.
Shot clock 8 seconds inside the game clock. Late in the first, Bryce Cotton dancing in the face of Bull Quayle. And here's about 7 seconds for the Kings. Xavier Cooks looks at the clock. Now Sean Bruce for 3. Just the way the Sydney Kings wanted to walk to quarter time. They've spotted the form Wildcats a fair buffer, but at least there's a blow late. Perth 32, Sydney 21.
Sydney Kings. Sydney fans, put your hands together, make some noise for our Sydney Kings dance crew.
I did 411, so 500 is crazy.
Yip, yip, yip. Oh, time. Haven't missed. I'm so hot. So hot right now. Yes. Haven't missed, haven't missed. You gotta give it to me, though. Oh, I'm so hot. I'm so hot.
Oh, the milestone man in the Harvey Norman in the zone segment. He was good in the warm-up. Can he be good in the game? Well, guess what? He's starting the second quarter, and the Perth Wildcats are starting with an 11-point lead. I asked you, gents, who would you rather be, the quick turnaround Wildcats or the 9-day layoff Sydney Kings? You went straight to Perth, Derek, and it must be said that it was on show. The Kings looked a little flat.
They are flat, and not only with their performance as Tui lets one go, big time hit, they needed that, but you can see, even on the bench emotionally, they're not into this game. They're not celebrating like we've seen this team be into each other over the course of this season, Brad.
Completely agree, and you look at that couple of last possessions, and there's Jesse Wagstaff giving his man, Bryce Cotton, an assist. But you look at that last possession, Bryce Cotton had a 3 to take that out to 17 at quarter time, and then we, Kings, they went down and they got it down to 11, so that was very, very lucky, and then hit another 3 right here. But Perth just let them back in the game, and there's another 3, Alex Tui, and that is what Brian Borgen wanted.
Alex Tui races to 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from outside. Been a little subdued in the 2 games against Perth so far this season, and last start against Adelaide, but the next start, back to his best early on in this one. And there's a rebound for Wagstaff, and a foul called on the way.
Now, we saw him hurt his ankle, his wrist the other night out at Perth, and it looks like he's shaking the same one, Brad. And one of the toughest players ever to be in the NBL, a true warrior. And he goes to brace himself with that left wrist.
It's a first foul called on Xavier Cooks. You saw it in the replay. Henschel for Perth. Finding Pinder off a couple of fine performances in his last 2 games, Adelaide and Cairns. Cotton back to Pinder, plenty of ball movement. And the shot is off the mark. Joe, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Was listening to the Kings at quarter time. The message from Gorge was to be more disciplined with their fouls. They've given up far too many so far. Offensively, just as they finished that first quarter, they want to rebound and run, play at pace and stick with the fight here.
Wow, that's his 3rd. Wow. Adams. That just can't happen. He should not be doing that in this game. Getting 2 was unacceptable for you. The main man in this team right now, I think you got to run with him. You just got to let him play a little bit.
And it came from a pass where it appeared that Xavier Cooks wasn't expecting the ball. He just had clocked off, checked out of the play. The ball came to him late. He didn't expect it. He fumbled, gave possession to Perth, and then the foul came for Jalen Adams.
You've got to run him now, Derek. You've got to go at him.
Cotton gets away from Xavier Cooks and finishes. He wanted the foul as well. And now he's back in D, trying to stop Qual, who lands heavily. He was fouled in the air and will go to the line for 2, straight back to his feet. Thankfully, that was heavy.
Now, we see Qual, and Doolittle doesn't really do a lot. He goes straight up, and Perth, I think, are suggesting that that John really should have a look at it, but John's ignored their advice. But Sydney have a problem now. With the way Perth are functioning on the offensive end, they'll be able to exploit Jalen Adams with those 3 personal fouls. There's nowhere to hide him out there with the personnel that the Wildcats have on the floor right now.
Look, there is the one side of it as well. As a point guard, and Derek, you would know this as well, you can go through games and not foul, but defensively, they will find you out somewhere. But right now, you may have to give up a layup so you don't get that 4th. And there it is, that box out or whatever it may come from. And his man now shoots a 3, but he misses.
Offensive rebound from Henschel, then a follow-up gather by Cotton, and Cotton goes to double figures for the game.
The patience of Bryce Cotton, just be able to pick his opportunities, and you can see that foul trouble has really affected Jalen. He's playing off his heels now as he decides to attack.
Trying to avoid his third foul out of the season, Jalen Adams. Perth's biggest lead of the game was in the shadows of quarter time. It was 14. A big three before the break and one after, but now it's 10 again, the difference in favour of the Wildcats.
Well, the thing for Jalen Adams now is he's got to get this out of his head, the situation that he's in, and there's a good move by Xavier Cooks, who I did want to say only had one shot in the first quarter. And with Jalen Adams on the bench for most of it, that should have gone more through him. But getting back to Jalen, Derek, now it plays with your head, because is he in the game? Is he thinking, I don't want to pick up that fourth foul, but is he going to be as aggressive that they need being down 10?
It's a tough one, and I think he has to maintain the requisite level of aggression on the offensive end without jeopardizing himself. He can't get into situations where he may commit an offensive foul. And then on the defensive end, as you may have mentioned before, it's hands out. You just can't commit the fourth one, even if you have to give up a layup. But you got to still stay firm defensively with your approach.
2 free throws give Xavier Cooks his first points of the game. 8 points the margin. 3 minutes into the second quarter. This team's meeting for the third time this season, and Ben Henschel is in a mood this afternoon.
Well, that's good action from Ben Henschel. He knows who's guarding him. He's not going to foul him, so he gets straight feet in the paint and was able to lay it up. Great work by the youngster.
Cam Oliver. A deep two was well off the mark, and Doolittle pulls down the rebound. Doolittle's had a couple of productive games against Sydney this season. Big numbers again on Friday night. Christian Doolittle, a little nod of approval. Timeout called by the Sydney Kings.
Well, that's a beautiful pull-up jumper by Doolittle. And remember, when he arrived here last season, he is still a young professional, and we've seen the development in his offensive game. Best exemplified right there by that little pull-up.
As we mentioned, Jesse Wagstaff, game 500 for Jesse, a very proud family supporting him. Joe, including his sister, Naomi.
Exactly right, Maddie. A wonderful occasion for the family. Naomi, can you tell me who's made the trip for today?
Yeah, we've got 5 of us here today. His brother-in-law, his niece, his mum and auntie, and myself, his sister.
It is a wonderful occasion, as we've said. How proud are you of the fact that he's gotten to such an amazing spot?
Yeah, it's wonderful for him. It's really exciting, but also he's such a humble guy. He's done a lot for the club, and yeah, I'm really happy for him.
You obviously grew up together. Was there ever a moment where you either didn't think he'd get here, or you thought you knew it the whole time he's going to be a great champion?
Well, actually, we found some old family videos recently, and he was about 5, and he did his first jump ball and fell flat on his face. So there was no hope back then.
He's come a long way since then. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you and the family enjoy the day, and congratulations to him.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good on you, Joe. Have a great afternoon, Naomi. The journey started with his first NBL game, September 09, against the Illawarra Hawks. I wonder if these teammates that day knew that Jesse was going to go on to have 500. Martin Catalini, Kevin Lish, Damien Martin, Sean Redditch, Brad Robbins, Paul Rogers, Luke Schenscher, Stephen Wade, Drew Williamson. We'll trip down memory lane as we see Xavier Cooks drop the 2 and draw the foul on the way.
Well, I think we stay on here for the moment, and we do talk about Jesse Wagstaff because he deserves it. A 6-time champion, and I mean, I was with Damien Martin the other night, and it was just to listen to the way they talk about him. The singlet will be raised eventually in that stadium, and he's a better bloke than he is this team member, and that's what's just so good to hear, Derek.
And his talent lies in his ability, as you get a jump ball there, but Jesse Wagstaff's ability to customize his game to suit his teammates and what the new coaches want from him, and to be a part of 6 championship teams has him in the upper echelons of individual success in the National Basketball League.
Not to mention a Commonwealth Games gold medal with the Boomers, Gold Coast. The Gold Coast Com Games. Henschel pulls up, knocks down another 2.
Well, he's attacking Adams, and I don't know how long Brian Gorgian can sit on this. That's 4 points that Henschel has been able to get fairly easy.
And I agree with you, Derek, because the thing is if you're getting beat down that end, I would hope that down the other end he's being aggressive and getting scores or creative for others. It's not. I would be taking him out of the game, and right now I'd be going through Cooks and Quatnoy to get those scores. I thought it would work. It hasn't. You don't want him to pick up his fourth now.
Noy makes the first. Back to Ben Hinchell in a moment. They're important shots for Sydney as they clamber for every point. Offense has been tough for them in this one so far. Quatnoy, good free throw shooter, makes both. Ben Hinchell, a season average of 10 points per game. Well, he has 11 to this point, well before half-time. He's off a 12-point outing on Friday, throwing 5 rebounds. He's delivering very handily for John Riley and the Perth Wildcats. Here he is to Cotton. The only Wildcat ahead of him on the scorer's sheet, and Bryce Cotton has that one jump out. Jalen Adams nursing the 3 personal fouls. That fine balance between aggression and sensibility. And this time he draws a foul. So he's off to the line after the foul's called on Ben Hinchell.
And Brian Gordon is going to bring Sean Bruce in for Jalen Adams. The net result hasn't been too bad, Brad. They're going to go down 8. And, you know, I guess Gordon can say we kind of kept our nose above water, but now they want to try and get into this margin with Bruce providing more defensive intensity.
Well, with more than half of this quarter to play, Perth already over the limit, so important opportunity here for Sydney to be aggressive and get to the line. And pick up some cheapies, but they've got to make them. Jalen Adams left one out there.
This is where it's got to start, right here on the defensive end, and that's a foul. That's
Up to the side. Purple 0, push.
And it's not like it sends Bryce to the... Actually, it does. Yeah, he's got one more to give, but the problem is now that's full Qual second.
Yep, second, and every foul from now on sends them to the free throw line. So just silly basketball. Sorry, that's as best as I can say.
45-36. The Kings with some headaches in multiple areas. And Ty Webster, he came here in a mood to celebrate. Won't take a lot for him to start engaging with the crowd. Here he is, a long 2. It goes through. Ty Webster.
Good basketball from Webster. Was probing, scanning, and realized he had space and pulled up and knocked down the mid-range.
Well, obviously, it's the ploy to go under the screens on that one, and he did knock it down. And here's the man they need to get going at the moment.
Little fumble gathered by Xavier Cooks, but he throws it straight to Windler. Cotton and the men in red are down the floor again. Here's Doolittle. Off the glass, nice shot from Christian Doolittle.
Outstanding mix of physical prowess and then touch on the shot, Matty, as he banks it off the glass at a very nice angle. Good basketball from Doolittle.
Now Noy tries to go off the glass. Instead, he'll go to the line. Yeah, Perth. There's our Reebok influencer seats, and today it's AJ Lamarck enjoying the Kings. Sought after presenter, comedian, speaker. Great reputation as a writer, presenter. So great to have you here. AJ Lamarck.
Having a great time, Matty.
Few guests in the influence seats as well, some competition winners. Best seat in the house being close to D-Ruck and B. Rose, and to hear all your expert comments.
Oh, there's Matty trying to be the comedian.
Quite noise.
And the Perth Wildcats have done a really good job of taking the 3-ball away from Sydney. They've only had 6 3-point attempts.
Cotton is given plenty of room, but he can't knock it down.
Well, Perth are just playing better basketball because it's getting through their hands. They have been able to get it from left to right. Now, this has been good ball movement here from the Kings, but then it just becomes one out and trying to take it to the hoop and hope for the foul.
Bruce. Alex Tui. And the rebound falls for Keanu Pinder. So you're right, Brad, there was more ball movement there, but there was also some frustrated expressions on Kings' faces as it didn't open up for them as they would have liked.
It wasn't positive ball movement. It was just going from one side to the next with everyone on the three-point line. It's not cutting, it's not back cutting. You look at that last possession, they were lucky Bryce Cotton missed the three, but it looked like he was going to come off the screen hard, then flared and got the ball. They're playing good basketball, Perth, and it's coming from the offensive end. Hence why they have 49 points for the game so far.
Pinder stripped of the ball by Tui. And then the foul is called on Pinder.
Now John Riley's asking for a travel. But
it's Pinder's second personal.
Well, Brian, it looks like Brian Gorshin's called the timeout, I think, for Sydney. But there is not going to be a coach's challenge.
So the second personal called on Keanu Pinder. So Ty Webster, Windler and Doolittle all on the floor with 2 as well. Let's have another Harvey Norman in the zone with the milestone man, Jesse Wagstaff, game 500.
Great take, Benny. Deal. If they go under. Hey, Young. Whipping, right? Nice, dude. Great pass. Great pass. Squeeze left. Keep going.
He might end up working for Harvey Norman, Jesse Wagstaff, because apart from being a very good basketballer with a decorated resume, he has a master's in business administration. He has a master's in financial planning. He's got a degree in civil engineering.
Wow. Well, Derek, what I'm looking at that, I'm smiling, I'm thinking to myself with the Harvey Norman mic. I would have loved you to be mic'd up. What would have you been like? Give me the ball.
yeah, I tended to be very direct in my approach with my teammates, but, you know, I think I was a fair.
You don't even look like you believe that. But you know the first game here, Kudos Bank Arena, 1999, West Sydney Razorbacks, John Riley against Brisbane Bullets, Derek Rucker. No, not Brisbane.
I played for West Sydney with Johnny.
You played with him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I played a game against them too. Yep.
He had 25 points, you had 19, so you shared the ball around, Derek.
But I still want to see you in the Harvey Norman mic. I want to see that. Let's do that before
I don't know
commentary.
about the mic, but I might be in the store tomorrow if you're buying.
So second free throw jumps out as well. The difference stays 10. This game is following a path we have seen often in Sydney this season. The opposition getting away early, the Kings hanging in there to half-time against the odds, and then staging their, sadly for their fans, customary second half fight back.
Well, we know Brian Gorshin is the master at making adjustments at halftime. As Webster lines one up from deep, it's short.
I say sadly for their fans because many of them come here wanting to see Sydney explode for 4 quarters. To get away early, to put a big margin on, and Kawatnoi disappoints them by leaving 2 out there. Cotton. Just a joy to watch live. Great awareness. Fantastic ball handling. An early assist to die for. What a player.
Well, it was a nice move by Kawatnoi that he missed the layup, but I tell you what, Perth, they should be out by more. The Sydney Kings only being down by 10 with the way they're playing. Jalen Adams in foul trouble, shooting 45%, but really not doing anything on the offensive end that's creating great looks for most of the time. Very lucky to only be down by 10. This last few minutes is huge, and this guy is balling at the moment.
Christian Doolittle with a miss on that occasion. They get the ball back through Webster, and he makes sure they don't leave that possession empty-handed.
It's a tough one, Matty, because the Sydney Kings team has not been good offensively. They're ranked 7th in the league. It's the defense that's been winning them games or keeping them in games, and right now, both ends of the floor, they are under tremendous pressure as they fail to score on this possession.
Yeah, best in the league at points allowed per possession. Got to work hard against the Kings, and it's kept them in many contests. But Perth here, 51 with time still to play before the big break. Liafa finding Sean Bruce. And it rolls in. Went around the cul-de-sac, looked at every driveway, and went down.
And I'd anticipate Bryce Cotton will feature heavily in this final 90 seconds.
On cue, Derek Rucker. Bryce Cotton. 15 points for the game to lead all scorers.
And Matty, if I'm Bryce, I'm not letting anybody else make decisions on the offensive end unless it's coming through me in these final minutes.
Now Noi back at them, infuriating John Riley in front of us. Have a look again at the Amy replay here. Bryce Cotton for three. After Sean Bruce.
Well, John Riley's not happy with the referee, but they've come over and said to the assistant coaches, back you go, sit down. All three of them were standing next to John Riley. But he was upset, he felt that wasn't the right foul called, and more importantly, missed the other one, I think, down the other end.
And Perth need to be careful in this final minute not to lose the energy of what they've built up, not lose any momentum going into the halftime break as Nico Fernandez and John really have some matters to discuss.
The second time I contribute, that will be the last one. Warning, red. Warning.
So Nico Fernandez running out of patience. John really threw us some words after Nico went back to officiate. David Okwera, the DNP on Friday night. Court time this afternoon.
Well, much better defence that possession there by the Kings. They were up and in and forced him, and you saw Perth with 2 or 3 steps outside the three-point line, which is the energy the Kings at a minimum need to play against this Perth offence.
Correction, Okwera had 3 points on Friday. It was 2 DNPs against Sydney this season for David. But he gets time against the Purple this afternoon. Here's Xavier Cooks for Bruce. Kwatnoi lets rip with a 3, but can't hit.
Good transition offense. Just missed a shot.
Cotton and Doolittle. Now Okwera. Foul spotted by Vaughan Mabry. And it's called on...
Well,
Sean Bruce.
It was on Sean Bruce. They've got 9 offensive rebounds at the moment, the Perth Wildcats. You could really say that as a 10th in theory with the foul.
Well, they're dominating the boards. 22 rebounds in total to the Kings 13. And that really hurts Sydney's shot totals. They've only attempted 28 field goals to the Wildcats 42.
Well, they've got good length, Perth. Just look at it. Winglet crashes the boards really well. Henshaw, obviously, Keanu, who's not on at the moment. Doolittle, and really can crash that hard.
The Wildcats wanting to finish as high as possible, bearing in mind the last 23 NBL champions have come from the top 3.
Sydney are confused in this possession. They don't know what they're doing against this Wildcat zone.
Great option. Great change up by Perth.
Bruce. Bounce pass for Alex Tui. The cut baseline was enough to break down the defence. And now Xavier Cooks gets another go. And again, it's Alex Tui. Back-to-back big shots to get us to half-time. Just like they did in the first quarter, they finish the second with an exclamation mark to get it back to single figures.
A first half clearly dominated by the Perth Wildcats, but they led Sydney back into the ball game in just the final 5 seconds of the second quarter.
Let's get over to Joe Healy.
Yeah, thanks. I've got Ben Henshaw with me. Ben, a great first quarter. They've obviously pegged back the lead now. Can you talk me through that first half?
Yeah, it was up and down. I mean, we just can't finish half like that, so we're going to come locked in for the next one.
What's going to be the message from JR at halftime?
We're going to keep them off the glass. They're getting too many second chance points, and we got to run on offense.
You know they're a good second half team. What more do you want to see at the defensive end in the second half?
Yeah, as I said, we got to rebound. We got to slow them down. They want to play fast. We got to stick to our principles, and we were right.
Awesome, good luck in a second. Well, it's a great contest here at Kudos Bank Arena. The Wildcats are leading the Kings by 8 points at halftime. Brad and Derek will join me after the break with all the analysis.
This week, your Sydney Kings announced the 5th Ring of Honor Award recognizing a player who has made a significant contribution to our club both on and off the court. The Ring of Honor Award is voted on by you, the fans, and members of this great organization. The Ring of Honor recognizes players not just for their talents on the court, but for other reasons worthy of recognition, such as the most entertaining, the most courageous, a great teammate, and those who give back to our community. This year's winner exemplifies the award to an absolute T. Please turn your attention to the big screen.
What you were going to get from him every single night. He's a guy, especially in the first 2 years, 95-96. He came in 95 and he was one of the biggest free agents out there. We got him. He was reliable, he was consistent, he was tough. He was a guy that you look at and he's a guaranteed double-double every night. Bruce deserves to be part of the Ring of Honor for a number of reasons. He obviously was an extremely talented player. He's one of the best players in NBL history. And this was a guy that was a 1992 Grand Final Series most valuable player for the Southwest Melbourne Magic undergrad, would you? And then came to the Kings and from day one was ultra productive, consistent, tough. He was fearsome, he was intimidating. But then the other side of Bruce is off the court, whether it was Tommy Garland or BJ Carter or Ben Knight. And they all kind of share a similar trait. And that is, it's not just what they do on the court, it's what they do off the court. It's how they conduct themselves as people. And all these men, Bruce included, have conducted themselves in an exemplary fashion and represented this great franchise known as the Sydney Kings exceptionally well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 5th member to be voted in by Sydney's loyal fans to the prestigious Kings Ring of Honor is Bruce Bolden. Joining past inductees Tom Garland, Ben Knight, Brad Rosen, and BJ Carter. During his 4 seasons in the purple and gold, King number 31 Bolden played 100.
Oh. Yeah.
You got some 500. Stay. I got 2 of you, right? My bad, dude.
Yeah, Jesse Wagstaff there, now Harvey Norman in the zone, celebrating 500 NBL games, a fantastic milestone for him. Well, it's half-time here at Kudos Bank Arena. The Wildcats by 8 at the moment over the Sydney Kings. Gents, talk me through these numbers.
Well, you look at those numbers and you say, well, that's a close game and we're looking. But, Derek, I thought you were perfect what you said with a couple of minutes out here where Perth had to be careful not to allow Sydney to get back in the game, and that's exactly what they did. And now Sydney will be sitting in there thinking, we got out of the hole.
And we know how well Sydney play in second halves, especially in fourth quarters. Brian Gorshin does a great job in making defensive adjustments. I would expect nothing dissimilar in this game. However, Perth are doing a great job, Joe, with second chance points, outscoring the Kings 14-2.
Let's take a look at our Hungry Jacks halftime highlights. Derek, you called it during the game. Bryce Cotton, he's got the MVP this season. What have you made of his first half?
He was outstanding, and I thought he was patient. He did what was required to assist his team. He was 6 of 14. He played all 20 minutes, and I thought, Brad, it was the perfect game from him considering the physical constraints he's been under and the demand, the burden on his body, he looks really sharp.
Matt Russell said it's just a privilege to watch him play, and it is. The way he works off the ball, the way he fights through, but more importantly, and you picked it up as well, how he includes his teammates. You look at the Blackmore shot chart there, he's only taken 14 shots, and when I say only, this guy could have 20 and a half, no question whatsoever. 43% from the field, but his team relies on him, and he produced in that first half.
What about for the Sydney Kings? Alex Tui had 12 minutes last game against Adelaide, but he's been fantastic out there this half.
He's been really good, and he responded to be given an opportunity to start again. He's 7 of 9 from the field. All of his points have been important, and I think he's probably going to have to spend some time on Bryce Cotton in the second half defensively because of Jalen Adams' foul problem.
Well, it was the 2 threes that he hit that really got the Kings going, and I thought they did really well there. But I agree with you. Being able to cut and get the ball, but the fact that he's getting out there playing minutes, this is the next star we're used to seeing.
Very, very quickly, who wins from here?
This is a tough one, Joe, but I think Sydney find a way to get themselves back in the game. I think there's more upside for them. I think the game means more to the Sydney Kings.
I wish I could agree with you. I just think Perth are going to come out in this second half. Jalen Adams hasn't done enough. I think Perth are going to get this.
Yeah, we'll kind of wait for the second half. The atmosphere here at Kudos Bank Arena is absolutely electric. The crowd are loving it. As you can see there, it's the Wildcats by 8 over the Sydney Kings. We'll be back after this.
to an NBL finals game, along with 4 signed jerseys and the chance to meet an NBL player post-game. Enter now and stop paying too much with Chemist Warehouse.
The Sydney Kings would like to thank RWS Global, who deliver our fans an epic game day experience. RWS Global offer everything you need to deliver an unmatched experience, from ideation to operation, anywhere in the world. Visit rwsglobal.com. And vote for your Sydney Kings MVP for today's match to go into the draw to win a friendly pass to our first Sydney Kings final. Scan the QR code to vote now.
As a young kid, I always knew that I wasn't just a heterosexual. When I was younger, that was something that I was always super aware of. It was something that I always knew about myself, but was always too scared to talk about because I didn't think I would be accepted. Basketball, for me, was like so much anxiety, and I always was comparing myself to other people because I felt like the cookie cutter for an Australian basketball player looked like a certain thing, and I didn't feel like I fit that. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 17. I spent time in a psychiatric ward in a hospital.
That was the year that Annalie came home from the AIS, and she was really quite ill, and it is a hard time even now to think about. God, it's been a while since I've thought about it. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, watching your daughter struggle like that, she was really ill. She basically disappeared for a year, both sort of in herself, but physically as well. So it was terrifying. It was really terrifying. And I suppose that comes back to just a sense of wonder and amazement now at what she's been able to do.
I'm very lucky that I had my family support, not just through my mental health issues, but also like figuring out who I was. Like coming out to my family was the easiest thing ever.
Resilience is something she has in spades. She has worked through so many challenges, and yet she keeps excelling.
You have to learn to love yourself, as hard as that is, and accept all the parts of yourself that you don't love. I think that's my advice, yeah.
It's a powerful piece, isn't it? The NBL is a place where people can be themselves without fear, discrimination or judgment. Thank you to Annalie and Paul Maley for their involvement in that. Annalie yesterday as a basketballer, 14 points, 14 rebounds for Perth. Unfortunately, in an upset against Adelaide, but well done, Annalie, on your career and your broadcasting with us this season. And Paul Maley, the dad there, the proud father, proud of his basketball career, 270 games at 4 clubs, 10 seasons, and even prouder to be the dad of Annalie. So well done to all involved in that. We're set for the scene, or we're set for the second half here, where Perth lead by 8, 56-48, but the second half has been Sydney's time this season. They've won more second halves than any other club this campaign, and they've won the fourth quarter, 14 of their last 17 games. So don't discount the Kings, but they'll need better ball handling than that from Cam Oliver. Windler, bounce pass for Pinder, who lays it in off the glass.
Coach Giller's turnover down one end and then giving a nice easy basket in quick succession there is not what they want.
Here's Alex Tui finding Cam Oliver, who dunks 2. Just to underline a point that you made, Derek, in the first half, Perth 42 shots to Sydney's 30, and a big part of that was the offensive rebounds, 13-3 in favour of the visitors.
Well, defensive stops must result in defensive rebounds in the first phase, and that helps really reduce margins. But I mentioned that too, we may need to spend time on Cotton, and we saw it right there, but high-quality shots like this, Matty.
Well, it's going to be a coach's challenge. He looked at his coach, but the coach looked at the worst job in the NBL, and that is the assistant coaches who have to watch the videos. But it is going to be a coach's challenge, but you're right. And offensively, I think they need to be going through Tui. As much as I've been saying, Xavier Cooks, Tui is making things happen, but let's have a look here. See much of a foul there, I'm going to be honest.
Not necessarily a conclusive angle, but right there, as a general rule, if the ball doesn't pop up in the air, it probably indicates that the contact was ball-based.
I don't see a foul there. I think that would be a...
But did he, in the process of hacking down, that looks clean to me.
Yeah, that's clean.
So you're in agreement?
Unfortunately. This probably the first time this year. No, you're looking at the body. Is that what you were trying to look at?
The challenge is successful. My learned colleagues are spot on.
Good job.
Scott Butler, good afternoon to you. Just run us through that decision.
Good afternoon, everybody. A pretty straightforward play. You look at the baseline camera angle, number 7. You see Tui actually scripts the ball. There's no foul on that play. Because it's a shooting situation, it's a missed shot. He walked the centre circle, dropped the ball up.
And it involves that play, the 2 leading scorers in the game. Bryce Cotton with 15, heading the Wildcats scoring. Alex Tui with 17, a game high. Now, Alex Tui's averaging 10 points per game this season. He had 3 the other night, and there's the live ladder. If it stays this way, Perth will go into 3rd position. Every position counts when it comes to the play-in tournament. Turnover again from Sydney. Doolittle finds Henschel, and they go down low to Pinder, who bangs into Cooks and can't finish. Tui the rebounds.
Well, both teams have been taking care of the ball. It's only 10 turnovers combined, 6 for the Kings, 4 for the Wildcats, but 2 of those have come in this quarter already for the Kings.
Oliver from outside. Look good through the air, but miss. And now Pinder with an easy dunk.
Pinder took off on release of Cam Oliver's shot. Got a fortunate bounce and a quick pass from Cotton as Tui attacks, and now he is 8 of 10 from the field with 19 points. But Brad, can the Kings string together defensive stops in this quarter?
Well, that defensive transition was horrible, and this is one of the issues you have when you have your guards up the floor, because in theory they should be the ones that are stopping that fast break. And there's Bryce again. He just moves so beautifully off.
And now Pinder in the right place to pick up the loose ball. He goes straight to Dylan Windler, who drains 3.
That's a killer. You get a stop, and Cooks thought a tap out would ignite the break. Instead, leads to a Windler 3 ball.
And lead 11, the biggest lead of the game, 14, late in the first quarter. Doolittle and the Wildcats coming out all business from half-time. Tough bucket by Windler, who ends up on his backside, but with 2 in the bank.
Well, that's 11 points and 6 rebounds for Windler. A couple of minutes inside the second half, he is just coming to play. That's 4 guys in double figures already at 65 points for the Perth Wildcats. Bryce Cotton obviously leading with 15, but Henschel, Doolittle and Winder 11 each, and there's another 2.
Skillful by Oliver to change his shot mid-flight and finish well. Windler lets loose from a long way out. Henschel, offensive rebound, another one. Cotton can't finish. And the ball comes down with Cam Oliver, who throws it straight to Windler. He was looking for ball qual. In the meantime, the Wildcats are missing, including Cotton.
Well, this offensive rebounding is really out of hand.
Tui is fouled by Doolittle, and the crowd doesn't like it.
And Brad, I don't know how the Kings can eat into this margin if they continue to give multiple shots per possession to the Wildcats. At some point, they got to clear the glass, and Tui does a good job of not traveling, taking the contact from Doolittle. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
His season and career high, the second-year next star, is 25 points, round 13 against the Illawarra Hawks. Here he's lining up. He hopes for points 20 and 21. That career high for the 20-year-old, very much within reach.
Well, the offensive boards has been a problem here, and they've taken Oliver out and bring noise. So obviously for the Kings, they're thinking they need to do it on the offensive end, and they're not worried so much about the board situation. So everyone is a key now that you've got to box out. And for Bryce, he will crash. Hensel will crash. So all the guards have to hang around and make sure they get that rebound.
Cam Oliver, Matty, has 7 rebounds in this game. Cooks has 6, but outside of those 2 gentlemen, the rebounding has been slim.
Henschel pulls up, can't knock it down. Watnoy. Backing down Henschel and shooting successfully. Watnoy.
Well, it's not pretty basketball, but it's effective, and he's able to get himself down low, and that's the mismatch that you can have when he is playing in that 4 position with Xavier at the 5.
So back to 7. Pinder misses and Cook retrieves. Adams to Noy, who puts it on the floor. There's a travel call by Vaughan Mabry.
And a hard close out there from Pender. Willing to go fly-by mode to not allow Noy to get a shot off. And it works in that instance as Noy traveled.
The Wildcats are chasing 5 straight road wins. Great run away from RAC Arena as Pender gets to the glass again. Whereas Sydney, the only current top 6 team they've beaten at home, South East Melbourne. Bulquois. Now Noy. Tough shot, he makes it with 1 to come. Quite Noy.
Well, Brad, you sense that Noy understands that he needs to push. He realizes Jalen Adams is out of sorts due to the foul trouble and hasn't been able to find his rhythm within the game. And he's going to press now, Noy. He's got 13 points off that Kings bench. He's a +10, so he has been the real shining light today.
Well, this has been the evolution of Quatnoy this year. This is what he's been able to give this team as he makes the basket now, shooting at 44% from the field, 40 from the 3, 89% from the free throw line, having a wow of a season.
And the Kings defense, they've restricted Perth to only 11 to open this third quarter.
Webster finds Almanza in the corner. A little heavy with his shot, and it can't be taken by Windler.
And again, Brad, it's not pretty basketball, but they've cut that lead from 12 to 6. They put it in, they've reduced it by 50% with possession.
Adams, optimistic with that. Might have been tipped.
Well, he's got 1 point, Adams, and he's 0 of 3 from the field, so they've done everything without him.
Bryce Cotton shooting over the top of Bulquois. But again,
he's working hard, Bulquois. You've got to give him credit. He is working really hard against Ty Webster misses it, but Bulquois is working incredibly hard against an outstanding athlete on the offensive end.
Well, you see the greatness of Bryce Cotton isn't just about his talent and his ability to dribble, pass, and shoot the ball, but it's about his heart and how hard he's willing to work away from the ball. And consequently, the defender, if you can't match that energy, you will get torched.
Second chance points was 14-2 in favour of Perth at halftime. It's continued to be a problem for the Kings since then. As Webster makes the first of his freebies.
Well, you mentioned how effective Webster was in Perth Friday night, and again, he's a good contribution here. 6 points, a couple of assists. He's a +7, and the more minutes they can get through his legs, Matty, and keep him healthy, the better the championship prospects are.
Quatnoy, I was about to ask you, Derek, how significant do you see the return of Webster at this time of the season?
He's a veteran guard who can defend, and he's solid on the offensive end, but he's also selfless. He understands how to play with Bryce Cotton, and he can run your offense.
Well, on Friday night, he was very impressive and really exceeded what I thought he would after being out of that game. He had 8 points on 50%. He had 4 assists, 1 steal, and he ignited that home arena, which was outstanding to be there. Jeez, it was loud.
I was going to say there's another factor that you can't measure, energy and team buy-in and being a personality man.
He's great at it. He's smiling at the crowd, letting everyone know.
Well, really just in the year of Alex McEwen as we look at Sydney at the line. Back to 5 points. This has got a familiar feel about it. Sydney Kings, Kudos Bank Arena, down at halftime, but coming back subsequently. Cotton shaking the defenders, now feeding Webster, who fills it up.
And gives a little point at the Sydney Kings bench. Ty Webster, big hit just to continue to keep that margin at a comfortable lead, now at 8.
Noy hard into Wagstaff.
Well, he has been aggressive. He's only shot 7 shots and made 3 of them, but this will be his 12th and 13th free throw as we see Ty Webster knock that down. At the moment, the Kings are 21 of 24 from the free throw line compared to a 14 of 14 from the Wildcats, so it's certainly keeping them in the game.
The blocking call on Wagstaff. 3.5 left in the third. Sydney down by as many as 14, getting it back to 5 not too long ago. And Quatnoy, one of their best free throw shooters at the line.
Different type of lineup out on the court for the Kings. Bruce, Melawach, and Quall will be the 3 guards. Quall will continue to be on Cotton. Cotton 6 of 18 at the moment from the field, so they've done a good job in limiting his efficiency in this one.
Noy, 19 points, a perfect 13 from 13 at the line. Offensive rebound again, Almanza, who then draws the foul.
Number 14 for the game. 14 offensive rebounds. And not a bad shot, but Xavier Cooks just misses the box-out assignment. And now fouls and makes him go to the line.
Well, he didn't react on the release of the shot, Xavier Cooks. And he needed to release and find his man and get a body in front of him. But sometimes when you're as athletic and your sense of timing is so good like Cooks's is, you can find yourself in that situation where you don't do enough early.
Well, I think the art of boxing out has been one of the things that we've lost in our game, and the old tag and turn and box out has really gone away, and it gives teams so many offensive and second efforts that really hurt.
The Kings down by 7. Bruce goes to Quall. Now Noy again collides with Wagstaff, but this time it's called offensive foul. A charge into Jesse. We'll see the ball go to Perth.
Well, we know Noy's been apprehensive of the pass. He's really pressing, trying to get buckets for his team, but right there, got carried away. Needed to find someone outside the 3 once that third defender attacked him.
Completely agree, and that man there doing what he's done his whole career causes a charge for the opposition. But this is the substitution I like. He's brought Jalen Adams back in the game. And right now it's like, J.A., we need you. Like, enough. You've had 1 point, 3 shots. Don't care, you've got 3 fouls. Just go out and go and get some scores for this team.
Wagstaff in game 500 says, I like the number 3 as well.
One of the greatest screen and pop shooters in NBL history. Doolittle asked us if we're okay with him in our way.
Go where you want, Christian. We'll get a look somehow.
I said no, sit down. He didn't even look at me.
Here's Jesse's first shot in game 500. It's a good one from outside. 9 days has been a long time for Jalen Adams. 9 days ago, a career-high 16 made shots, a career-high 43 points. 9 days later, he's yet to make a field goal.
And that was Almanza's 4th foul. He's played just on 8 minutes.
He's only had 1 game in his 77-game NBL career without making a field goal. Jalen Adams. So despite those 3 fouls in the first half, he's out there, down by 10, hoping to have a say in the back end of this contest. Perth by 9. Hoping to complete a great weekend. The comeback win against South East Melbourne Friday. Can they come to Sydney and beat the Kings? They will if there's more of that from Ty Webster.
And some of his value shown right there. He and Windler just know how to play the game. And Windler creates a mini advantage, and then with a quick pass to Webster, Webster has his feet ready in an explosive position gets by his defender, finishes on the rim, and even more importantly, foul number 4 for Jalen Adams. So he will begrudgingly walk to that Sydney Kings bench. Not an afternoon that has been memorable for Adams thus far.
And I know it's easier, we've all been in this situation, but got to lift the body language. Your team needs you. Yes, you've got 4 fouls. Coach went with you, it didn't work.
Webster, second game back from injury, 12 points, 4 of 6 from the field. Perfect at the free throw line. Backing up his impressive 8 points in that comeback on Friday. Another miss by Sydney. And that time Webster throws it away. Would have been a fantastic pass. Instead, Noy splashes 3.
Timely. Very timely. Hadn't been shooting the ball fantastic in the last 2 games. That was only his second 3 that he took tonight and makes it 4 of 8 at the moment, but 22 points for Quatnoy.
Now stops required by the Kings, and they force Webster out of that shot. Bruce.
Go to Noy again. There it is.
The Arthur to Noy. And the crowd groans. They wanted that one to fall. Bryce Cotton, 15 points. 6 of 18 shooting. Trying to get away from Sean Bruce. He gets a look and punches the air.
You saw him lining that one up the whole time. Just felt like he was going to be able to elevate over Bruce and get a good look at it, and he knocks down another 3. He's got 18.
Now the foul called on Doolittle, defending Xavier Cooks. So Xavier back to the line. It's 12, the advantage to Perth.
And we anticipated after the first 5 minutes of this quarter where Sydney had done a good job defensively in restricting Perth to only 11 points. But since that time, Perth have found their offensive rhythm. And with 82 on the board, at a solid clip of 44% from the field and 37% from the 3, Brad, this comeback is going to be immense if the Kings are to make it.
I haven't led at any stage in this contest. It's been Perth from the get-go. Cooks misses the front end. This is unfolding in front of Sydney's second biggest crowd of the season, more than 14,000 in Kudos Bank Arena. Hoping to see their men take down the Wildcats. But it's been an assured performance so far from Perth. On the back up. In this scenario, playing Friday, backing up on Sunday, they are 1-3 this season. 1-3. But out by 11 here. Final minute of the third. Cotton with Bruce getting a touch. Possession stays with Perth.
Good possession there, defense from Leartha, just kept him in front of him and did his absolute best. 4 seconds, it's going to have to go up quick. They can't foul.
It's Dylan Windler with an air ball. He says it was touched, or his arm was touched. There's no whistle. Shot clock 8 seconds inside the game clock. They've finished each quarter impressively, Sydney, with a bang, in fact. Can they do it again? Quatnoy has a jump out now. Oliver with a putback 2 and 1 to come.
Well, the most positive thing I saw out of that is Xavier Cooks playing the 1. He looked like he got the switch and he had Wagstaff on him, and then everyone was just standing around, including the Perth Wildcats, and he whipped it to the corner. It went to Quatnoy, good look, and more importantly, they crashed the glass and got a 3-point play. These end of quarters are just so huge, Derek.
Well, they keep themselves alive, and if Oliver can knock this one down, keep in mind the Wildcats will have 9 seconds or 11.3 seconds. It's been reset.
John really making some subs here. Whoever comes in, that means 5 players on the court here are all capable of shooting the 3 for Perth.
Gee, the next possession becomes really interesting. Does Perth take momentum and all that goes with it into three-quarter time? The Kings would love a turnover and a score of their own to swing that pendulum back their way for the final quarter.
They just can't foul.
Here's Bryce Cotton. Pulls up, knocks down a big three. Oh, he knows the moment. Bryce Cotton delivers. Then the retaliatory three from mid-court from Xavier Cooks misses. But who takes momentum into three-quarter time? It's Perth, thanks to Bryce Cotton, who goes to 21 points for the game. The fourth quarter up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to acknowledge the life of Luca Bennett. Luca was a part of our basketball community when he was only 15 when he tragically lost his life in an accident at North Avoca Beach on Christmas Eve.
Here we go, fellas. It's all about the little things. Just like Hiram said, when we break down, that's the only time they're scoring. All right? Pretty good. Yes, boy! 500 charge.
Now Harvey Norman in the zone. Mic'd up man is Jesse Wagstaff. Game 500. He won game 100. He won game 200. He lost 300. He lost 400. What happens game 500? He's out there to start this final quarter. The Wildcats out by 11.
How good is that Harvey Norman, Mike? I love that. He didn't even say much, but it was just the fact that's Jesse. I don't say a lot, but I'll do it out in the court. Great work, and I love the Harvey Norman.
Hinchell, the man who really got Perth going this afternoon with a miss to start the fourth. Alex Tui leading Sydney, scoring, but not proud of that moment. Then off the foot of Bryce Cotton and baseline, it's King's ball.
Bryce Cotton hobbles back to the defensive end.
Put the heat on a King each, men. Who's going to lead a comeback, inspire a fight back, if there is to be one in the fourth, Brad?
Well, for me, I think it will come through either Tui or Xavier Cooks. I mean, you know, one would hope that it's going to be Adams, and I'm sure Quatnoy will be back on soon. But I like Cookie right here. He seems to be getting himself into the game. Hasn't scored many points, but 9 rebounds and 3 assists.
Here's Adams, playing provider. There was a lot of certainty around that pass. Here's Bull Quoll, a fumble, and now possession is swatted away by Sydney, or from Sydney, by Bryce Cotton. He is so good. Left, right, forward, back, cops a whack. And he'll go to the line.
And that will be Jalen Adams, foul number 5.
He fouls out for the 3rd time this season, Derek.
And this is a tough one. Goes over, gets himself up in the air and creates contact with Cotton. Wrong place, wrong time.
Fouls out 1.03 from the field in 14.5 minutes. Wow. But the one thing I do want to mention today is Bryce Cotton. Defensively, he has been right into this game, getting steals, deflections. He's come out from the word go. His stats show 2 steals, but I'm saying there's some more with deflections, and what a game he's playing.
Jalen Adams, only the 2nd time in his NBL career that he finishes a game without a made field goal. Sean Bruce. And look at Bryce Cotton. He's won the battle of the point guards, and Bryce adds 2 more to the tally. Shot out of a gun as he races towards the northern end of Kudos Bank Arena to make it 89-74. What a season Bryce Cotton is having. It makes you wonder what sort of end of the season Perth will have with Bryce Cotton in this sort of form. 9 seasons in the NBL. Is this career best form for Bryce Cotton, Derek?
I believe it is, Matty, and it's come at a time during the season when the Wildcats needed his productivity. It put them on the right course, and right now they are just playing at a level where the Sydney Kings can't go with them, and this is a big game. They win this game, I believe this will lock in 3rd place for them, and that means they get to host that first home play-in game.
Be very interesting to see the way the cards fall as we head towards the play-in series, followed by the playoff or semi-final series, then the championship series. That man, Bryce Cotton, 26 points today, 9 of 21 shooting. Here are his season numbers: 28 points per game at 46% from the field, 42% 3-ball, 86% at the line, throwing 4.5 assists per outing as well. And Derek, as you've mentioned, career best form in his 9th NBL season.
There's no doubt, Matty, he's playing the best basketball of his NBL career, which is crazy to even imagine. And he's made back-to-back huge plays on the defensive end for the Wildcats.
And the shots just won't fall for Sydney. Perth recognising a chance here to really accelerate and put the game out of Sydney's reach. Despite their good second halves, despite their fantastic record in 4th quarters, it's hard for the Kings right here, right now.
Well, this next couple of minutes is huge. If they're going to make a run, they're going to have to do it soon. But for Perth on the other way, you have to give credit to this ball club. They lost 2 ball games last week, and everyone was asking a question. They went home, bounced down by 11 at 3/4 time, beat Southeast, and then come across here, and at the moment, taking on Sydney. And this man here, Bryce Cotton, is showing why he is the MVP of this league.
Well, when he gets like this, there's very little that you can do other than just get a hand up, try not to foul him, keep him in front of you, and those things are really difficult to do. You need him to be slightly off also to be successful in trying to limit his productivity. And right now, we are rarely seeing him be off.
I was going to say, I think Derek Racker thinks he's a comedian. Bryce Cotton being off, that doesn't happen, Derek.
Well, there's his coach. 481 games as a player across 16 seasons. Now in his 3rd year as Wildcats head coach. Joe, how was his mood at that last time out?
The message from JR, he just said, guys, let's not get sloppy. Don't let up or give Sydney a sniff here. They're going to keep their foot down until the final whistle. And just one thing on the Wildcats bench, Hiram Harris might be the best hype man in the league. I'm absolutely loving his energy in those huddles.
Absolutely, Joe. Derek is a teammate of John Riley's formerly. Do you see some traits in him as a player that you now recognise in his coaching?
the intensity, the competitiveness, and the love of basketball, those all shine through currently as he continues to find very good performances for this Perth Wildcats team. And he's been under scrutiny, Brad, at various times through his short stint, but he's always responded. Now the Wildcats are headed for another top 4 finish.
Henschel. The rebound goes to Wagstaff. Back for Bryce Cotton. After today, we know they finish Perth at home against Adelaide on Friday, but if they win today and they have a big win on Friday, it's not beyond the realms they can sneak into second if Melbourne lose the throwdown, the final game of the regular season. They've just got to bridge that percentage differential, which is considerable on United. Timeout call by Perth after the Cam Oliver bucket. As the Amy replay shows us Oliver with the finish to make it 91-78, 13 the difference.
Well, Matty, I like how the other Wildcats players have stepped up today. Dylan Windler's played a really good game.
There was also a presentation earlier today, and unfortunately we had a young boy, Luca Bennett, who was really one of our own. He was a basketballer. He played on the Central Coast Rebels team until he received a scholarship to Scots College, played at Norse. He was a basketball New South Wales high performance, and unfortunately some devastating news over the break. It was an accident, and we lost a good friend, a teammate and a role model, and I know his family are in the gym today, and a shout out to their family from the basketball community. What a great kid Luca Bennett was, what a huge future he has, and we're all with you moving forward.
Beautiful words, Brad. Such a sad story over the summer period.
Well, as we reset this game, and the Kings haven't been able to do that job in clearing their defensive glass, and the continued pressure on the offensive boards by the Wildcats has just been too much to eat away at this margin.
Henschel, let's rip with a 3. The rebound comes for Cooks, who is fouled by Windler. So Windler picks up his 3rd personal.
And that's not a terrible foul. It slows the ball down. It doesn't let the Kings get into rhythm. Now they can get their half-court set here. But I like this team on the court for Perth. Again, I say this is the way they started, their length, their athleticism. They crashed the glass. Very, very impressive. One of the best games right now I say I've seen Perth play this year.
Alex Tui in a very quiet arena, despite the fact there's more than 14,000 here. The Kings haven't really invited their involvement this afternoon. Henschel. Off to Pinder. And Pinder stays at it and forces the foul.
And this will be interesting to have a look at whether this was...
That did look goaltending. It did look goaltending.
Nice pass.
Yeah.
And this is the one right here.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's on the way up.
Alex McEwen says it was still going up. Therefore, no goaltend.
So Perth, they lost to Melbourne by 6. They lost to Cairns by 9. Coming into Friday night against South East Melbourne. A little bit of pressure on Riley and his men. They responded to take down the Phoenix. They've come to Sydney, and they're on track to take down the Kings.
Sometimes a victory like they had on Friday night against Southeast Melbourne, where they came from behind in the 4th quarter, it can release some tension and allow you to come out here and play with the proper amount of looseness.
Yeah.
And then you have Bryce Cotton, a guy who understands the occasion. And when you're talking about historical statistics and team success, you can throw that out the window when Cotton's on the court.
Yeah. I completely agree. Very, very impressive. And that's why I say I feel this is one of their better games, because it's been for 4 quarters. I don't want to say they were terrible on Friday night. The first 3 quarters, they weren't great. It's probably the better words, but their 4th was brilliant. But today, they've come here very focused, and agree with you that you probably think this could lock up that 3rd spot and a home final to then play probably what will be Melbourne if they get second in that semi-final series.
Now you're starting to really dip into the future, Brad. I like it.
I'm looking no further than the next game.
Thank you,
Southeast Melbourne, Adelaide, John Cain Arena.
Wow.
How about that one?
I'm surprised you guys can go that far in advance. Still got a quarter left here.
I know next Friday it's Illawarra against Sydney in the Gong, straight into Perth against Adelaide in the West. So elite hoops as we head towards the end of the regular season and shape this top 6. Firstly, for the play-in tournament involving teams 3 through 6.
Well, here's the run. If they can make this now, hit a couple of shots, 13, it gets tight. What we do know is expect the unexpected in this league. So this game is not over right yet.
A strong rebound from Oliver to give Sydney possession, but then they turn it over.
Just when you hype them up.
Well, that's the Kings' 14th turnover. Perth have 6. And the equation to win this basketball game is so stacked against the Kings when you look at turnovers and offensive rebounds.
Bryce Cotton elevates, drops 3 more.
Elite superstardom.
Another 30-piece for Bryce Cotton. Sean Bruce for the Sydney Kings. But this man, every basketball fan in the West with fingers crossed, hoping he extends his stay at the Wildcats. Your free agency podcast was fantastic this week, Derek. 2 parts. So much interest regarding player movement, availability, the shapes of rosters going forward. I implore you, if you haven't taken it in already, go to NBL.com.au and get 2 fantastic discussions. Yourself, Jack Everin, Pete Hooley.
A lot of work goes into it, and you know, it's kind of spearheaded by Olgun's intel, and then we work off of him, but each year it gets deeper and more involved, and something we haven't seen from the Kings is an emotional level of involvement to match this occasion.
Yeah, I agree. I did love that chat. The Sam Froling one was extremely interesting, what's going on down there.
And then the flow-on effects from each player in terms of what happens if they go and if they stay. But anyway, go to the podcast and listen to it in 2 parts. Up next, Phoenix 36ers. Here's Jack Everin and Andrew Gaze.
Thanks very much, Matty. Can't wait for this one. It's the Phoenix and the 36ers. Up next at John Cain Arena, Andrew Gaze. Big game for Southeast Melbourne. They can still finish second.
My word, they can. And who knows what's going to unfold with this game. Both these teams coming off some losses. Both of them are still desperate to try and find some form to get them in the right frame of mind heading into the playoffs. In all likelihood, they're both going to make it. And Adelaide just relieved that Melbourne United did them a favour beating the Jack Jumpers last night.
What Adelaide team are we getting today?
Well, who knows? We know Kendrick Davis is a superstar, though. He is must-watch TV, so tune in for that. He's number 2 in points per game, number 1 in assists, and anything can happen when Montrezl Harrell is out on the floor. So it's going to be a cracker. Looking forward to it.
Coming up next, it's the Phoenix and the 36ers. Beck Allen to join us in commentary as well.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Jack. Yes, Southeast Melbourne off that loss to Perth on Friday. Adelaide off the loss to Brisbane. Southeast Melbourne, remember their start to the season, 0-5. And here they are, showing great haymakers as they prepare for the postseason. Josh King, what an arrival as head coach. Here's Dylan Windler.
What a terrific pass by Bryce Cotton that set him up. He went through multiple high degree of difficulty dribbling moves and then was able to dish it off with his left hand to set up Windler.
Cam Oliver hits 2.
Brad, they never got themselves going, to Sydney Kings. No, they got to make a run. There's still time, but it doesn't look promising. But just emotionally, they never were into this game.
Well, look, you'd just like to see him up the court a little bit more right now. You're down by, 14. You really, really need to get up the court and try and cause some turnovers. Perth have done a great job tonight. Only got 6 turnovers compared to the Sydney Kings, 15. You've got to force something.
If you're looking for positives, Cam Oliver with 19 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. So He's right on track for another double-double, which would be his 4th of the season.
See, the other play that comes in with it, Derek, as well, is for the Kings. They can't afford to lose this by a lot because the percentages could come in, because Perth could drop next week, Kings could beat Illawarra. These teams are tied, and then they've got to come down to percentages.
Sydney ball. Ben Henschel called for the foul, a holding foul. You might have heard Nico Fernandez with that one. John really shaking his head in front of us.
Yeah, look at that percentage. That's the bit I'm talking about here. So that's the live ladder. So for the Kings, they want to stay in the game right now, because next week anything can happen.
Well, the problem is Southeast Melbourne win today. Sydney dropped down to 5th based on percentages.
But then Kings... Adelaide coming in here after beating them just recently and twice in this venue.
The Kings haven't been able to get Xavier Cooks involved offensively. 1 of 6 from the field. And with so much to deal with against his Perth front line, his lack of offense has just been telling.
Let's see if Sydney can get a stop here. There's the answer. Christian Doolittle just settles it all down for the Wildcats.
The more I watch him, the more I like him. He is a key off-season signing for them. Of course, Bryce is the biggest, but really like what he's been able to give to them. Gets them buckets when they need them, rebounds, defends, does it all.
A runner from Cooks floats away from the target.
And Matty, something to be said about guys that are able to play with superstars and be selfless and understand what's required to play with a guy like Bryce Cotton and be successful.
Malawatch to Noy, who's blocked by Windler. Henschel goes into the front court and waits for the teammates to join him. The percentage differential on the live ladder was 0.25. Dropped by Pinder. Derek or Brad, what does that equate to in actual points on the court? I can tell you it's about 25. Which underlines your point, right? Don't get blown away here, Sydney. Get it back at least to 5-10, because you don't know what happens end of this week. John really wants a timeout with 1:50 left.
Well, I think the thing the Kings will take away from here is they really did not come in ready for the juggernaut that was the Perth Wildcats.
So John signalled timeout, and then he said, it's because I want a challenge.
Well, why not? You know, you may as well save it. Not save it, I should say.
And Doolittle does a pretty good job of maintaining verticality.
It's just the arms is the only issue, whether he lowers that down.
The right hand.
The right hand, that's the only thing that, is it enough? One could argue that the arms comes down because he pushes into him as well, so that's pretty good D.
You in agreement again, men? This will be challenge successful?
I think it's great D. I'm just worried about that right arm, and to be honest, I know Derek's not going to. There it is. It's Coach Derek he just sat there and said nothing.
I said right away.
Yeah.
It was good defense, good verticality by Doolittle.
We know that anything can happen in the NBL. We say it over again as we watch the expected get thrown out the window. But what's going to happen on Friday night? Sydney making the trip south to play Illawarra.
Tough place to go for a big game, and trying to hold on to what will now be 4th spot, probably, Matty. Really, really testing environment, and we know how much the Wollongong natives love to get King's blood.
Well,
nicely put.
Absolutely, but Illawarra got to go to New Zealand first on Wednesday, so that's going to be a key for them, and then they've got to back up and come home. So, again, it's another 5 days for them to sit there.
I know we've been talking about the unpredictable nature of the league, but I can firmly predict that Illawarra are going to put it to New Zealand.
Man, this is the guy that says, I'll walk from Perth to Sydney because Sydney are winning the championship.
That wasn't quite what I said, but don't bring it up anymore, please.
Sean Bruce drops 3. No Parker Jackson Cartwright on Wednesday either, ruled out for the rest of the season.
But they played well yesterday again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, they have to beat who's in front of them. Cairns playing decent basketball, and I thought they did what they had to do.
Dylan Windler. Well, let's flip it. We know that Perth go back home on Friday against Adelaide, and the way they're playing at home and on the road, that's going to be a tough assignment for the 36ers, who firstly have to get past South East Melbourne next.
Brad, I think Perth take huge confidence out of this game today.
So they should.
And while you were there on Friday night, they were shaky in that victory. They turned it on for 8 minutes and got the victory, but this one right here, this one weighs heavy.
Well, the other thing as well is, I'm not sure of the actual stat, but that was the first time John Willie had his full team on the court on Friday night for however long that was. And Windler was okay, great today, but he just got his feet under him. Ty Webster did what he had to do, but this team is humming and they have confidence.
Malawatch draws the foul as he angles to the rack. He'll go to the line. This win by Perth will equal the record they had last season, 17-11. But last year they were 7-7 on the road. This will take them to 8-6 away from RAC Arena. Of course, there's an extra game in this season compared to last season, not the 28 games, 29.
Yes, that's right. The one thing that is really noticeable, and Derek, I know we've spoken a lot about this, the teams that come out ready to play, I don't know what the percentage is, but it would be high, win the game.
Well, the effort, Brad, the effort by the Perth Wildcats today got them off offensive rebounds, created turnovers by the Sydney Kings that led to disparity in the scoreboard.
Yep.
For example, points off of turnovers is clearly in favor by 10 to the Perth Wildcats.
All teams are so close. Sorry, Matty. All teams are so close with their talent and the way they play. So you need the extra 1-2% of where you're going to get that from. One of them is energy. 2 is from the offensive glass. And both today, Perth have dominated those 2 categories against the Sydney Kings.
Doolittle providing more of it just there. Here's Xavier Cooks with a late highlight for the Kings. But after the Perth won the first quarter, the Wildcats, the first quarter, 32-21. They haven't looked back. Final minute of this one. Mission accomplished for the Wildcats. West comes to East and wins. Bryce Cotton with 30 points, and he's had plenty of assistance around him, but Bryce pulls up, leaves that shot short. Look at Windler fly for the rebound. Another O-board where they have absolutely dominated the Kings this afternoon. Back-to-back misses for Cotton, but again, the salvage mission is successful. Doolittle thought he was getting himself in position for something athletic with authority. Instead, he's content to
18 offensive rebounds after that position right there. And, thank you, and a shout out to Lockie Reed, who just let me know mid-November it was the last time that Perth had their full roster. Well, they would be feeling very, very comfortable. And no one's scared of anyone really right now, are they, Jared? They know on their day they can win, but it's just what day they come.
Doolittle goes to 16 points for the game, 8 rebounds as well, backing up his performance on Friday night. So the ton up for the Perth Wildcats in this game. Sean Bruce narrows the margin. Who knows how important that bucket will be in the wash-up, but Ben Henschel got them going. He can't ice it, but it's still an impressive road performance. On the quick backup, Perth come to Sydney and take down the Kings 104-97.
Well, that was an impressive victory on the road for the Perth Wildcats, and perhaps one of their most important wins of the season as they knock off the Sydney Kings and step into third place on the Mitsubishi Motors ladder. And a disappointing loss for the Sydney Kings. They never showed up emotionally. They didn't give the energy that was required.
Absolutely, and what a great game. And again, 10 out to Jesse Wagstaff, 500 games.
30 points, 4 assists. Their stats owned by this man with Joe Healy.
Yeah, the Foot Locker player of the game, Bryce Cotton. Bryce, another big performance for you, getting it done at both ends, but your entire starting five was in double figures as well. How pleased are you with this performance?
Oh, huge. You know what I mean? We had dropped 2 at the crib, bounced back versus Phoenix, and then to get a good win versus a good team like Sydney, that's huge for us.
And what about doing it on a really special milestone for Jesse Wagstaff, his 500th game as well?
Yeah, I mean, he was around since the first NBL game ever, so it's good that we finally got a win on one of these milestone games.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thank you.
Not quite since the first NBL game ever, but certainly since the 2009-10 season. Jesse Wagstaff celebrates game 500 with a win. Bryce Cotton big again as he applies 30 points to the Kings. And you look at Bryce Cotton and what he did here. I don't know what's left to say about this man because so many credit has gone his way, deservedly so this season.
He's just an outstanding basketball player, and as you can see by how his teammates respond, he is a great teammate as well. He reads the game so well. He's got tremendous abilities and just an uncanny sense of when to press the button and go.
I just can't be more unbelievable how good this club's been after back-to-back losses last week.
His career high is 6 steals. He was very close with that with 5 steals today. So it's not just at the offensive end. He delivers in so many ways.
And his teammates came along and supported him well. And they found perfect opportunities to inject themselves into the game. Doolittle 16, Windler 14. And I thought Ty Webster's 12 minutes for 12 points were highly valuable. A great, great team win.
And what's a great sign is you look at them now, they're smiling and they're happy. And look at that Mitsubishi Motors ladder. Rockets in the third right now. The Kings do have that little bit of a percentage, so Perth have got to make sure they take care of next week against Southeast, and the Kings will go to Illawarra, which will be a tough one. But this ladder gets better and better, and oh my God, look at the next game that we're going to about to see.
We're not far away, Brad.
Melbourne playing Adelaide. It just gets better and better. But just getting back to Perth, what a congratulations and goes out to John Riley and his coaching staff. There were questions last week, losing 2 at home and 1 against Cairns, who I think is a little bit unfair because Cairns were playing good basketball, but still to come out and beat Southeast for the Kings, yeah, that's a worrying loss. They didn't come with the energy at all today, and that's something you just have to bring in front of what is and was a huge crowd.
Not far away from Southeast Melbourne, Adelaide, Illawarra and Melbourne hold the top 2 spots. And then these combatants have ordered themselves now. Perth 3rd, Sydney 4th will break and come back to Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Jesse Wagstaff in game 500 joins the Wildcats in celebrating a big win. They've hit the road to Sydney and taken down the Kings 104-97. Derek Rucker, Brad Rosen. What are your big takeouts as we look at the stats in this game?
Well, I love the game plan that the Perth Wildcats came in with, especially on the offensive end. They weren't efficient like they normally are, but they were able to get second chance opportunities and build a lead. And then, of course, Bryce Cotton's brilliance kind of carried them along throughout the game.
Having 20-plus more shots, it's just too much, and that's what the Kings, they just didn't come in ready today. But I don't want to take anything away from Perth. They were brilliant on the back of 2 losses to now get 2 wins, sit in 3rd spot. Well done to them.
So the Kings head to the Gong on Friday. Wildcats back home against Adelaide also on Friday. Next up, we've got Southeast Melbourne against Adelaide. On behalf of Derek, Brad, Joe and the entire team, thanks for your company. There's more hoops, elite hoops, right after this.